Well, here we are, folks. It is 7:30 p.m. on the 16th of October, and it's 2021. Welcome back to Gas Talks. And for all of those of you who are relatively new to Gas Talks, maybe don't know what it is, this is a little show that we do on Saturdays. And every Saturday, we hang out for about 2 hours reading good news and listening to a little bit of ambience, a little bit of ASMR in the background, and all the while, I talk to you about recent events in my life, go back and forth with Chad and the regulars, and genuinely just have a nice time, maybe take a nap for a little while. That's what this show is all about. So, last week, we had our first subscriber, Anna Rar. Hopefully she'll be able to join us, but she was having a bit of real-life difficulties this week, so she might be busy. But hello to you, Playful. I'm glad that you showed up. We have met again, the second time. Me and Playful were just at an event in Second Life, and unfortunately, a beloved place that we have both called home in many different days and have journeyed through together from time to time, is actually ending today. Not, I guess you could say formally or officially, but today is the unofficial ending. And I suppose, these things happen regardless of what you want or what you're interested in. You can't really control the coming and going of life events. Closing in a week, yeah. Closing in a week. I like that better. Well, unfortunately, these things happen sometimes. And it's not up to us to decide whether or not they will keep going or they will stick around. All we can really do is hope that in the time that it takes for us to find something that can fill that gap, that we can stay strong and we can come together as a community. Fortunately, it won't be too difficult considering there are already plans in the works to pick up the slack, as it were. But I was at SOS a week after. Actually 2 days. I was telling my story just earlier today after my visit to the hospital. So it was a very powerful thing for me to grow and change with SOS. But not all things can stick around, unfortunately. And they had 13 years. That is hardly a short tenure, I'll tell you that much. I can only hope to have this show running for half as long. But this week was a little uneventful for me. I hope that your week hasn't been too uneventful, Playful. I know that's something that you suffer from. So we have some good news today. Some of our news is as follows. Once in a generation, fossil discovery reveals new species in 16 million year old amber. Now that's some old amber. You're sure you'll find something. A plant opens to change the recycling game by breaking down plastic bottles with enzymes from leaves. Lovely. It's a good one. We have let's see, naturally occurring antibiotic kills Lyme disease and nothing else. You did make it. Cherry. It's Cherry, yes, I remember this time. Minnesota teen builds free wheelchairs for disabled dogs and cats, and soon a duck. And welcome on back to you as well. Thank you for saying that so much. New hydrogel tablet that can purify a liter of water in an hour. Well, we've got some good news and some familiar faces luckily, so we're gonna get started. But go ahead and tell us about how you're doing right now if you'd like to. I know you've had a tough week, Jerry, but I'm glad that we talked a little earlier and I was very glad to hear you're doing a little bit better. I hope that this 2 hours makes you feel even better than before. But yes, I actually met somebody very lovely the other night, and it'd be nice to have her on, actually, if I get to know her a little better. She passes the vibe check and all that. She has actually an astounding quality of voice that it was surprising to hear, but she was doing an auction that I actually snapped through, unfortunately. But I think that she seems like a very nice person so far. I look forward to knowing her more. We'll get back to that some other time, though. As for today's episode, we're going to start in on our recent news. Good news from the world. So, naturally occurring antibiotic kills Lyme disease and nothing else. Researchers studying naturally occurring antibiotics have isolated one which eradicated the bacteria that causes Lyme disease, potentially offering a revolutionary treatment for the pathogen in both humans and the natural environment. Hygromycin A, which the scientists found in a screen of soil microbes, was found to clear the infection of B. burgdorferi, the bacteria found in tiny worm-like parasites, which cause much of the worst effects of the disease without harming the rest of the microbiome in live mice and human cells. A debilitating disease that can put some people out of action for years. Lyme disease affects 500,000 Americans annually, costing in excess of $3 billion in medical care, and much more from lost labor hours. It drives a variety of pathologies, some minor, some major, and it's treated principally by non-selective antibiotics, which wreak havoc on the beneficial bacterial communities we all carry on our skin and in the gut. After infecting mice with B. burgdorferi, hygromycin A was administered twice a day for 5 days. Using a PCR test, which stimulates rapid replication of even single cells, the treatment proved to clear every last trace of the infection. Furthermore, in vitro tests on human cells found that even at completely unnecessarily high doses, its therapeutic index was up there with some of the safest over-the-counter medicines. Hygromycin A targets these worm-like spirochetes, which along with Lyme disease also cause other diseases. Another spirochete cleared by hygromycin A is called T. pallidum, which not only causes syphilis, but has been a notable recipient of antibiotic resistance. A broad-spectrum antibiotic, along with killing our beneficial microbes, were shown in the paper to be strongly linked with blooms of harmful bacteria cropping up in the dead spaces left by an antibiotic, like amoxicillin and doxycycline. So many drug names. They have also led to antibiotic resistance in many common pathogens. By contrast, hygromycin A treatments resulted in a rise of harmless species like Lactobacillus. Oh my gosh. Lyme disease is on the rise, and in many locations, it limits our ability to enjoy outdoor activities. The authors write, a more permanent solution would require eradicating the source of the disease. We show that our baits containing hygromycin A clear B. Burgdorferi infection in mice, the principal host of the pathogen. However, the good news didn't stop there for the team, as they began to reason that because hygromycin A selectively targeted spirochetes, the tiny parasites mentioned earlier, it could be possible to inoculate entire ecosystems against Lyme disease, since hygromycin A is a naturally occurring soil microbe, and therefore already has an established place in the terrestrial web of life. They referenced a study which looked at how a parasite bait containing the common broad-spectrum doxycycline was spread across an area and eradicated the Lyme disease-causing pathogen in 87% of mice and 94% of ticks. This is far above levels required to reduce infection below the percentage of infected ticks and mice needed to sustain the infectious cycle in the wild. The author's note. Doxycycline, however, is an essential part of our shrinking antibiotic arsenal, and spreading it on a large territory is unfeasible due to the risk of selecting for resistant microorganisms. Hygromycin A, with its limited activity. Chia, hello there, Chia. I'm so glad you could join us. Just sit on back and relax for a little bit. I'm sure you'll feel a little better if you just drink some water and maybe have a snack. That'll probably help a little bit. Anna, you made it. I was worried you'd be indisposed, actually. I'm so glad you could make it. The founder, Anna the founder. I need to make some founder little blips. With its limited activity against non-spirochetal organisms, would make an ideal reservoir targeted antibiotic against B. Burgdorferi. What a weird name. Not only could they be on the path of eliminating Lyme disease in humans, but perhaps in the natural environment as well, which along with numerous other enormous benefits, would allow people in prone areas to wear shorts and t-shirts on a summertime hike again, which merits some celebration. I certainly think so. I'm glad to see you guys all here, though. Honestly, I am. This is a quick one. Yes, it's a quick one. If you would like to tell us a little bit about your week, though, either you, Chia, or Anna, I'm happy to hear about it. Let me know if there's anything I can do for either of you. Using your brain rather than Google Maps, Alzheimer's research on London cabbies is eye-opening. An iconic fixture in any London street scene for decades is the black taxi cab, and their extraordinary cabbies are the focal point of a new expedition into Alzheimer's research. Cabbies have an incredible knowledge of London streets that seems to confer some protection against Alzheimer's disease. This could be clinically relevant to struggling patients or those seeking to mitigate their risks. For those on the outside, it may seem that behind the wheel of the black cabs are just regular people who help us along to our destinations, bit by bit. But hidden within their brilliant brains is a map of London streets that for decades has put GPS technologies to shame. The knowledge, as it's called in the cabbie exam, was established for horse and buggy cabbies in 1865. It stands among the hardest mental examinations one could ever undergo, as it involves the repeat retrieval from memory of minute details from between 25,000 and 56,000 London streets, depending on who's reporting, from Trafalgar Square to the tiniest residential lanes. Gosh, I guess that would help with your brain if you were doing that all the time. University College London and Alzheimer's Research UK are coming together to study the brains of these cabbies, as it's found that the hippocampus, master of the brain's short-term memory and spatial memory systems, is enlarged in the brains of cabbies. Enlarged. A very tumescent hippocampus. For Alzheimer's disease, the hippocampus is the first and principal victim of its effects. Furthermore, cabbies' hippocampi continue to enlarge the more years they put into the job. Oh my gosh. Presenting the hypothesis that perhaps there's something we can do to replicate the effect in the general population. Who would have guessed that cab drivers have the biggest hippocampuses in the world? One of these days, I swear, maybe there's something very protective about working out your spatial knowledge on a daily basis. You know what they say about a guy with big shoes. He's got a big hippocampus. Yeah, you're right about that. You know, cabbies, they gotta put the pedal to the metal all the time, so, you know, they need big shoes for it. Maybe there's something very protective about working out your spatial knowledge on a daily basis like these guys do, said research lead Professor Hugo Spears, according to Euro Weekly News. It may not necessarily be spatial, but just using your brain rather than Google Maps might actually help, in the same way that physical fitness is important. I understand what they mean there. At UCL's Department of Experimental Psychology, Spears was part of the team which 20 years ago found that, like birds and squirrels, cabbies' hippocampi gradually got bigger. That's bizarre. Indeed. Research has found for years that any animal that requires a detailed spatial knowledge of their territory experiences growth in the hippocampus from voles to pigeons. Alzheimer's disease results from tau proteins, in particular amyloid beta, building up around the neurons in the hippocampus. Over time, and in layman's terms, a brain drain occurs as the proteins interface with the firing neurons, leading to a loss of brain tissue and a breakdown of critical functions in the hippocampus. Spears and his team hope to study the brain gain, which occurs from putting one's powers of memory through the rigors of the knowledge. What a name! To glean more information on the mechanisms that cause these gains, Spears has recruited 30 of London's cabbies to drive around on their routes, hooking up to MRI machines that will allow the researchers to gather real-time observations of the workings within the hippocampus. It's been a joy to help the research team with this work and feel that I'm able to use my brain to help scientists combat dementia, said Robert Lorden. Lovely. I like that one a lot. Okay, so here's my favorite so far. I might have shown this one already, but it's an interesting image they've got at the front here. It looks like some kind of crazy biomolecular chemistry set, if that makes any sense. Plant opens to change the recycling game by breaking down plastic bottles with enzymes from leaves. Lovely. Just lovely. The French firm that has taken an enzyme found in decomposing leaves and tweaked it so it can decompose plastic instead has now opened a demonstration plant where they are showing their recycling process can achieve the goals they predicted 18 months ago. Several obstacles have prevented humanity from getting control of the plastic pollution problem. Mechanical recycling is expensive to run, while market demand for costly recycled plastic is low. Plastic collection around the world is still under 25%, and some plastic polymers remain without a recycling method. As GNN reported in 2020, the technology from Carbios solves many of these problems, and they're confident their demonstration plant will win the support of corporations like PepsiCo, L'Oreal, and Nestle. At the new Carbios plant in Clermont-Ferrand, a reactor about the size of a cargo van has the capacity to process around 100,000 ground-up plastic bottles in just 10 to 16 hours. That's around 2 tons of ground-up PET, which is polyethylene terephthalate, the most common form of plastic bottles. It breaks down the polymers, long, complicated molecules, into monomers, smaller, simple building blocks, separating the two major components of polyethylene glycol from terephthalic acid, my gosh, in a matter of hours, exactly as they predicted in 2020. You know, I appreciate that science is all about being precise, but these words can be pretty difficult to read sometimes. My poor brain. I bet that's helping my hippocampus that was reading all this. One major advantage this enzymatic method offers over mechanical recycling is that the end product of plastic monomers is actually far closer to the original material manufacturers use with petroleum to make new bottles than if they bought chopped up plastic to begin with. Using the experience gained at this plant, Carbios will improve the upcoming industrial-sized plant forecast to open 2025. Can you imagine that? Just they'd probably put like 20 tons of that in every day or something. My gosh, they'd make a huge dent. While their recycled plastic monomers cost more than mechanically recycled plastic, the method can reduce the greenhouse gas emissions by 30%, thanks to the reduced reliance on heavy industry, which is attractive to corporations that need to demonstrate their environmental responsibility. As enzymatic recycling advances as a technology, a chance for even more complex plastics, like polypropylene or those found in artificial clothing, could eventually be tackled. We've had some great news today. I like this stuff so far. Oh no, we have a long one about the amber. We're only going to go a little bit into the amber. It's a pretty long one. We need a hydration bot. Once in a generation. Fossil discovery reveals new species in 16 million year old amber. They've famously survived the vacuum of space and even returned to life after being frozen for decades in Antarctic moss. But as hard as it is to kill the bizarre microscopic animal, the tardigrade, it's harder to find one fossilized. In fact, only 2 have ever been discovered and formally named until now. Lead researchers at New Jersey Institute of Technology and Harvard University have described just the 3rd fossil tardigrade on record, a new genus and species. Okay, this is a hard one here. Paradoriforbius chronocarabius gen ET.SP.NOV. PDO chronocarabius. I got that one pretty well actually, which is fully preserved in 16 million year old Dominican amber from the Miocene. Measured at just over half a millimeter, the specimen has been identified as a relative of the modern living tardigrade superfamily Isohypsibioidea, and represents the first tardigrade fossil recovered from the Cenozoic, the current geological era beginning 66 million years ago. Researchers say the pristine specimen is the best imaged fossil tardigrade to date. Tardigrades, or water bears, are renowned for their unusual appearance and self-preservation abilities. Certain species are known to survive extreme conditions by curling into a dehydrated ball and entering a state of suspended animation, where their metabolism is virtually paused, known as cryptobiosis. Rare tardigrade fossil finds, such as PDO chronocarabius, the team suggests, could provide new molecular estimates that offer fresh insight into major evolutionary events that have shaped more than 1,300 species from across the planet today. Perhaps the greatest challenge in unearthing tardigrade fossils, however, is their size. It's a faint speck in amber, said Barden. In fact, PDO chronocarabius was originally an inclusion hidden in the corner of an amber piece with 3 different ant species that our lab had been studying, and it wasn't spotted for months. The fact that we had to rely on imaging techniques usually reserved for cellular and molecular biology shows how challenging it is to study fossil tardigrades, said Javier Ortega Hernandez. We've heard him before. Assistant professor of organismic and evolutionary biology at Harvard. We hope that this work encourages colleagues to look more closely at their amber samples with similar techniques to better understand these cryptic organisms. We're just scratching the surface when it comes to understanding living tardigrade communities, especially in places like the Caribbean, where they've never not been surveyed before, said Barden. This study provides a reminder that for as little as we may have in the way of tardigrade fossils, we also know very little about the living species on our planet today. Yeah, I like water bears. I'm a fan of them. Okay, folks, so here's another one. Dementia sufferer defies diagnosis to conduct symphony orchestra at age 81. A dementia-suffering pianist, whose spontaneous composition went viral last year, has fulfilled a lifelong dream of conducting a symphony orchestra which played his own songs. I know, right, Anna? 81-year-old Paul Harvey became well known last September after his son Nick and had recorded him improvising a 2-minute piece from our notes, 4 notes, F natural, A, D, and B natural, and posted the footage on Twitter. Nick posted the clip online to show how musical ability can survive memory loss, and Paul captured the hearts of the British nation when he played the piano from his home in Sussex live on television. It was recorded by BBC Philharmonic Orchestra as a single, which, with proceeds going to the Alzheimer's Society and Music for Dementia, which campaigns for people with the condition to have free access to music as part of their care. To mark a year since he played his composition on Breakfast TV, Paul was invited to conduct the BBC Philharmonic Orchestra, playing 2 of his compositions at the studio in Salford. He spent an emotional afternoon with the orchestra, during which music kills the soul, I agree, Anna, which he conducted both 4 notes, while his son Nick played the piano and an older composition of his called Where's the Sunshine? Paul, a former music teacher and classic pianist, said, "It was magical. It was very, very special to work with such wonderful musicians. It made me feel alive. I couldn't believe that an orchestra was playing my music and I was standing in front of it conducting them. I hadn't conducted in such a long time before this. It was a real thrill." Paul was born in Stoke-on-Trent and studied piano at the Guildhall School of Music. He became a composer. His rumba toccata is still used in grade 6 piano exams and a concert pianist appearing on the BBC Home Service in 1964. But he decided to become a music teacher shortly before his eldest son Nick was born. He spent 20 years teaching at the Imberhorn School, a comprehensive in East Grinstead, whose former pupils include Cutting Crew's Nick Van Eede, famed for his hit ballad, I Just Died in Your Arms. Five years ago, Paul moved into sheltered accommodation as part of his dementia care. Nick, who joined Paul on the trip organized by Music for Dementia, said he had seen his dad come alive again since the video of him playing piano went viral, and he supported calls for music to be a key part of dementia sufferers' care. He said, "It moved Dad and me and my 2 brothers beyond compare. It was a dream come true for Dad to conduct and play with an orchestra of that caliber as an 81-year-old. It's what dreams are made of." Lovely, that was a great one. Okay, so you know what? This one is rugby player rescues sheep from barbed wire, but I think it might be a little too graphic. Let me just check it for you guys first. Okay, it ends up okay. Alright. I had to check though, just to make sure. What does one do when seeing an animal in distress? If you're former Aussie rugby player Nick Honey Badger Cummins, you go right to its aid. In the viral video, which now has more than 16 million views on Twitter, Nick switches on the emergency lights of his car, then jumps out and runs to help a black and white sheep entangled in barbed wire fence. The sheep is having difficulty freeing itself, so Nick calms the distressed animal, then works on separating its horns from the wire. The sheep is free. Now Nick just has the not-so-easy task of getting the animal away from the road traffic and back into its field. Usually they go into a sort of hypnotized state when you have them like this, Nick says to his friend as he holds onto the sheep's hooves. He lifts the animal safely over the fence, and it runs buying across the field. Nick yells, "You're welcome," right back. I'll show you guys this, but I'm going to make it a little small so we don't get... Alright. Our butt's attacked by copyrights. That sheep really is in there, wow. So yeah, if I saw this, I wouldn't know what to do because I don't think I have his strength, though I could try, I suppose. I'm not sure how he got stuck like that. You can see him like slowly mantling the horns around the actual sheep that's there. I think I can turn this up actually, hold on. I'm gonna turn the music, the sound on just for this one.
Where are you, buddy? Come on, mate.
You got him out.
Now, we'll try and get him over this fence safely. Bit of barbed wire all the way along it. Bloody beautiful, eh?
He's just kind of hypnotized. He's right. He's like, he doesn't know what to do.
Usually they go into sort of a hypnotized state when you have them like this.
Oh my gosh.
We're gonna have to swing him over.
Yeah.
We can't really carry him that far. He's
Guess we don't. Your strength.
2, 3. Welcome.
Aw, that's darling. That's darling. Shocked, it's not freaking out and struggling against the man. So, what happens in a lot of prey animals is, if they think they've been caught, right, or that like something has grabbed them, then they go into a state of trying to just like, it's a little sad, they just kind of accept it. Because if they can't escape, they have to keep themselves capable of running again soon. And if they don't think they can do anything, they just kind of stop for a little while and go into like a state. And it's gone into a state because it's been through kind of a shock, and it's not sure if it's like been grabbed by an animal or if it just can't move. It's trying to conserve itself, and because of that, it's kind of gone like half asleep, almost like hypnotized, like you said. And so when he throws it, yeah, there's a lot to do. It's true. It's crazy. That was really wholesome, though. That was really wholesome. That was a good one. Okay, here's a good one, too. First of its kind commencement. Inside Prison celebrates 25 inmates that earned bachelor's degrees behind bars. On a prison yard 70 miles away from California State LA's campus, the university celebrated its newest graduates. 25 incarcerated men received bachelor's degrees during a commencement ceremony at California State Prison, Los Angeles County, in Lancaster last Tuesday, marking the culmination of a unique and powerful journey. Today in education, to me, means freedom, redemption, and opportunity, graduate Dara Yin said during his student address at the ceremony. The freedom to create better lives, a redeeming quality in the sense that we can step out of an identity that was destructive and into the person our mothers always meant for us to be. The opportunity to show that we are not our worst decisions, that we crave to be a part of a larger society, so that we can put to use our unique combination of lived experience and education. It's a lovely speech. California State LA's Prison BA Graduation Initiative is the first in-person bachelor's degree completion program for incarcerated students in California. It was started in 2016 with support from President Barack Obama's Second Chance Pell Federal Pilot Program, and is also supported by the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation. I love that name. Through the program, the students earned a Bachelor of Arts in Communication with a focus on organizational communication. The graduates wore black caps and gowns over their blue prison uniforms at the October 5th outdoor ceremony on the yard of the prison's progressive programming facility. PPF is a volunteer program that houses men who demonstrate good conduct and a dedication to personal growth. Friends and family of the graduates gathered with officials from the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation and Cal State LA faculty, staff, and administrators to celebrate the graduates. I am struck by the resilience and dedication you have demonstrated as you embarked on your journey through education. Cal State LA Provost and Executive Vice President Jose A. Gomez said to the graduates, "You didn't give up. You didn't quit. I speak for everyone at Cal State LA, the faculty, staff, administrators, alumni, and our community, when I say that we are so proud of you." Professor David Olson, chair of the Department of Communication Studies, served as MC for the ceremony, which featured moving student speeches and performances, as well as remarks from CDCR leaders. This program is so unique. It is one of the only of its kind in the country and the nation. Has been watching you, said Brant Schoit, director of CDCR's Division of Rehabilitative Programs. Because of your efforts, you have set the stage and example that this works. This opportunity is going to be available to thousands in the future in California and across the country. Thank you for all you've done. Lovely. Afari watched proudly from the audience as the graduates performed. I am overjoyed and so emotional today, said Afari, who is one of the 15 faculty members in the Department of Communication Studies who taught the students during their time in the program. It's been a wonderful journey and an honor to have been able to watch them grow. In July, the first 9 graduates from Cal State LA's Prison BA Graduation Initiative were able to participate in commencement ceremonies on the Cal State LA campus. All had their life sentences commuted by Governor Jerry Brown or Governor Gavin Newsom, who were released due to changes in the law. Several attended Tuesday's ceremony, returning to Lancaster to watch their friends and former classmates earn their degrees. It was Tin Nguyen's first time stepping foot on the yard since he was released on a rainy December morning in 2019. When he entered the prison gates again on Tuesday, he said he felt like throwing up. Oh man, it's horrible. But his anxiety quickly turned to elation. Under bright sunshine and blue skies, Nguyen felt joy seeing his friends achieve their accomplishments. Well, I mean, I'm sure that's not a pleasant reunion in some ways, but... Look at us now, Nguyen said. We're transformed men, assets to society both in here and out there. I'm proud of them, and so amazed at how far we've come. Cal State LA's BA program has equipped the incarcerated and formerly incarcerated students with critical thinking capacity, public speaking abilities, and writing skills, and experiences that have fostered personal transformations. By the end of fall, 37 incarcerated and formerly incarcerated students in California State LA's BA program will have earned their bachelor's degrees. Some have enrolled in master's degree programs in communication studies and counseling. Others have started businesses or are giving back to their community through nonprofits. All want to strive to make the world better. At the closing of his remarks, Yin challenged his fellow graduates to consider their degrees as just the beginning. Imagine what else we could do. Find the answers to poverty, homelessness, help rebuild our K-12 schools, put an end to kids joining gangs, Yin asked. Impossible? Not if you ask us. Imagine if those answers are here among the incarcerated, among those that have changed and reclaimed their positive standing in society. Imagine that it starts today. That's really good. I mean, I think I'm a firm believer in most cases that people deserve a second chance, and if somebody is able to sort of right the wrong that they have made. I mean, I'm not the kind of person that can tell you how long a person should spend incarcerated for this crime or that crime. But certainly, if you're able to move past that as a person, if we're able to sort of prove that humanity exists in you, to make better choices, to help people, to try and change the world because of what you've seen and done. I don't really know if I have the answers to when a person should be allowed to try that, but certainly I think everybody should have the option. And I'm glad, even if it's only like just under 40 people, that's better than, 50 years ago when that wouldn't have been possible in the slightest. Wait, what? Is this real? Okay, this isn't real. Okay, I was like, what is this? So this is a little crazy, so bear with me. Towering over the city, this farm scraper will produce 270 tons of food from hydroponics on 51 stories. My gosh. Combining a vertical farm and office space into a single 51-story concept out of Chinese mythology, an Italian architect is completing the Shenzhen skyline with a stunning skyscraper. Or farmscaper, excuse me. With a facade that features a vertical hydroponic farm extending the entire height of the building. The Shanmu Tower was designed for a leading Chinese supermarket to be a place where tenants can grow, sell, buy, or consume produce in the same place they work. Located in the South Chinese city of Shenzhen, the Turin-based Carlo Ratti Associati has unveiled plans to build a 650-foot, that's 218 meters, tower in which 100,000 square feet, 10,000 square meters of the glass exterior is dedicated to producing food. 590,000 pounds of it per year, which would also contain around 1 million square feet for office space, a supermarket, gardens, and a food court. Hydroponic gardening involves using a nutrient-rich water vapor rather than soil and allows plants to be grown in tubes, stacked vertically. Working with Zero, an Italian-based company that specializes in innovative approaches to agriculture, Xianmu's farm is optimized to produce everything from salad greens to fruits to aromatic herbs while remaining efficient and sustainable. An AI agronomist would oversee most of the hydroponic systems, regulating water and nutrients, planting and harvest cycles, and other matters. That last part is a little sinister, and other matters. The building, designed as the new headquarters of supermarket chain Walmart. Gosh. Where the entire production chain can be showcased in a clean and technologically exciting way, I'm sure, was named and designed after a mythical tree that separated heaven from earth in Chinese folklore. According to traditional belief, the project page explains, heaven is round while the earth is square. The skyscraper echoes this principle with its rectangular base that gradually morphs into a tubular form as it rises. I'm actually kind of scared looking at this thing, if you know what I mean. Isn't that a little scary? I don't know about this. The vertical hydroponic farm embraces the notion of 0 food miles in the most comprehensive sense, Carlo Rotti told the zine. Crops cultivated in the tower are sold and even eaten in the same location, which helps us conserve a great deal of energy and food distribution. The sun will help the crops to grow, which in turn will shade the interior offices from the sun, reducing the air conditioning load, while the moist subtropical China air would aid in supplying moisture to the plants. I mean, this all looks interesting to me, but I just have a feeling about it. Small-scale urban farming is happening in cities all over the world, from Paris to New York to Singapore. Xianmu Tower, however, takes it to the next level, writes Rotti, who is also a professor at MIT. Such approach has the potential to play a major role in the design of future cities, as it engages one of today's most pressing architectural challenges: how to integrate the natural world into building design. The concept reveal video below is nothing short of utopian science fiction and deserves a watch. Do you guys want to watch this? Because I'm a little scared to put this anywhere near the video because it's going to be so copyrighted. Let's just assume it's very crazy looking because this is supposed to be a crazy looking building. I'm not going to show it, but I can link it to you guys. That's what I'll do, in case you're interested. Oops. So if you want to take a look at the video yourself, there it is. And here's our next one. So we're going to do a few more and then we'll move on to our break and go from there to probably some animal videos. Scientists find the secret to unhackable security systems on the wings of butterflies. I'm gonna be surprised to hear about this. Sometimes, solving the most complex technology and engineering challenges, as you might have guessed, involves looking towards nature for solutions. Such is the incredible case with the Teslagram, a currently unhackable security fingerprint created after studying a butterfly's wing. The wings of this most charismatic insect are cloaked in tiny scales, up to 200,000 of them, which contain a lattice work of chitin ribbons unique to each scale. It was these scales, which a Serbian technology student at the Institute of Physics, Belgrade, thought could serve as the ultimate form of security code or authenticity stamp. Fingerprints, QR codes, barcodes, and more are all coming up against their best-by dates, according to the Teslagram inventor Marija Mitrovic Dankulov. Gosh, QR codes aren't good anymore. In an interview with Free Radio Europe, she highlights the story of a hacker named Starbug taking a photograph of the German defense minister and managing to zoom in at a high enough resolution to copy your fingerprint. Oh my gosh. I didn't know that was possible. Holy cow, did you guys know you could do that? Oh, geezy crazy. While analyzing butterfly scales under an extremely powerful electron microscope, a colleague of Dankulov's, Dejan Pantelik, realized that a human fingerprint could not compare to the intricacies of the unique latticework within each scale. Dankulov and Pantelik, along with some of their colleagues, then came up with the idea of the Teslagram, named after the great Serbian inventor, Nikola Tesla. A butterfly scale would be, here's what it looks like in case you're interested. It's very unique looking. Isn't that strange? A butterfly scale would be attached to a product, and the details upon it would be entered into a database, like a fingerprint. Only one which would be extraordinarily difficult to copy maliciously using known technology. Let's say a museum wants to loan a very valuable art piece out of some gallery, Dankulov tells FRE. Currently, when that artwork is returned, the museum has to pay some specialist to ensure what they got back was the original artwork. Because, people might try to replicate it and then sell it back to them. This is the same principle for other luxury goods like jewels, watches, or designer clothing, all of which lose millions every year in market sales to counterfeiters. Along with being much harder to read as they require electron microscope, butterfly scales, as anyone who has ever been next to a child trying to catch a butterfly has reminded them, are extremely fragile, and any tampering with the Teslagram would make it unreadable. Currently, the Teslagram is being trialed by a Serbian company called Vlatcom, which is using them for their security cards to enter and exit the buildings. My gosh. I'm still on that whole fingerprint thing, actually. I can really read this. Another advantage of using butterfly scales are that almost all the butterflies native to Serbia are in no danger of becoming endangered. And because a single insect can provide so many scales, very few of them need to be kept in the lab. Currently, Dankulov and her team have a small butterfly aviary where species are allowed to live their normal life cycle. Wait, so every single one of these, oh my gosh, this is kind of mind-blowing me a little bit. Some technological challenges remain, such as how to affix the scale so it doesn't become damaged through normal wear, and how to offer cheaper and more flexible reading technologies that don't involve a electron microscope. Oh my gosh. Saying that, the group recently teamed up with a second firm called Quadragraphic that helped them build infrastructure for creating ID cards and readers to allow people to access the powerful Teslagram. Let's take a look. Natural holographs. So, gosh, I can't even imagine. I would never have thought to do something like this. I've said that a million times on this show, but wow. Okay, so I'm still not completely sure I understand this. But, I mean, why not, right? Butterflies could make a very good fingerprint system instead of us actually using our fingerprints. I mean, when you can just get a picture and take it that way, I mean, gosh, I guess we have to get a little bit stronger security if that's the case. So here's the next one. Plenty of good boys here. Minnesota teen builds free wheelchairs for disabled dogs and cats, and soon a duck. Aw. Look at that. That dog looks really happy, actually. A Minnesota high schooler with a passion for disabled animals has made giving them mobility her mission. 2 years ago, after studying some YouTube tutorials followed by a process of trial and error, 16-year-old Shane Kleun embarked on the enterprise of making handcrafted pet wheelchairs for animals in need. More than a mere creature comfort, the mobility devices Kleun manufactures in her spare time are changing furry lives for the better, and even saving animals that might otherwise be put down. I just love animals, and I wanted to make a difference somehow, Kleun told Fox 9. She said, "I've saved a few lives, and I really hope to save more." Since launching Wheelies dog and cat wheelchairs that offer custom handmade and low-cost wheelchairs for specially abled dogs, cats, and pets, Kleun has only charged for the cost of her materials. The savings are often substantial, $300 for one of her creations versus $1,000 for similar devices for large breed dogs from more traditional sources. To date, the tireless teen has put close to a dozen front support, full support, and back support models, depending on the animal's particular needs, and has designed mobility devices for everything from a tiny Chihuahua in Ohio to a Great Dane in Oregon. My gosh, a Great Dane wheelchair must be huge. In addition to dogs and cats, she's also come up with one-of-a-kind locomotion aid for a hedgehog. Wow. Next on her drawing board, a purpose-built duckmobile. As was her hope from the beginning, Kleun has expanded her outreach to include shelter pets. She met one of her latest clients, Scooter, a paraplegic pup who came to the U.S. from Saudi Arabia via the Home for Life Animal Sanctuary, an organization that offers a chance for life to pets that might be considered unadoptable. Lisa Liverdier, who works with the nonprofit, notes that in times like these when it's difficult to raise money, Kleun's efforts are especially appreciated. Kleun is determined to keep up the good work, and while times may be hard, she says she's thrilled by the generous folks who are still willing to contribute financial help to cover her costs. A lot of people have reached out and donated, which is just incredible, she told Fox 9. If you'd like to help a dog, here, I'll give this to you guys right now. If you'd like to help give a dog, cat, or duck a new lease on life, donations can be made via Zelle to this site right here. If I can actually highlight it, there we go. For all those interested. And here's the video. I'm gonna have to probably make it small. Okay, no, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Show me the dogs. It's swimmer's disease. That's awful. Show us the wheelchair. There we go. There we go. That's a new boy. Look at that. Look at that boy go. Look how happy he is. Oh my gosh. What a cutie. Okay, I don't care about it. I don't care. Show me the dogs. There we go. Oh, thank you very much for your support, but more dogs. Oh, what a good shot to end it on. He's ready to face the world. Now with his new wheelchair, he can do anything. Godspeed, little doggo. Godspeed. Well, we have just come to the halfway point, and I have actually let us go a little further than I should have. So guys, I'm going to be right back. I'm going to get some water, go for a little walk, and I recommend that we all stand up, get something to drink, go to the bathroom, get some snacks, stretch your legs out and in your arms too, and then come on back in about 5 minutes, and in 5 minutes we'll get going again. So get up and do something, because it's what I'm gonna do. And we're back. Well, we've been getting some good stories this time, honestly. Let's see. Shape of a Heart. I'm sure this is a sweet little one. Stunning aerial footage captures school of fish swimming in the shape of a perfect heart. Wow, wow, wow. From October 13th. The group of Creval Jack reflect the sunshine as they move together in a cupid shape before morphing into a swirling ring. The clip is reminiscent of the moonfish in Pixar's Finding Nemo that make a series of swirling ethereal shapes to talk with Marvin the clownfish. Local restaurant owner, 47-year-old Paul DeBille, spotted the fish while flying his DJI Mavic Air 2 drone just off Juno Beach in Palm Beach County, Florida. Paul said, "I was looking for mullet. It's this time of year for the mullet migration in fall. There were no mullet on the beach this day, however I found the school of Jack Crevales instead. I immediately recognized the heart shape of the school when I first saw it." Yeah, that is very heart-shaped. It maintained that shape for several seconds before morphing into other shapes. Paul described the experience as a beautiful and special moment. Of that we have no doubt. Take a look at this. That's crazy. Yeah, there's like a good... I wonder why they make those shapes, right? I mean, I understand very well that it might be to keep a predator away or something, but that one specifically just seems... like, I'm not sure how they would know to make that shape. Let's see, look at this other one. Is no, it's not too long. Here's another one. Wildlife officers finally figure out how to remove the tire that was around an elk's neck for 2 years. An equal parts comedy and tragedy in the Colorado mountains finally gave to an end after a young bull elk who had a car tire dangling around his neck for 2 years was finally set free. Tracking the elk for 2 years but never managing to get close enough to tranquilize the animal, Colorado Parks and Wildlife authorities cornered the 4-year-old bull at around 8 p.m. last Saturday. Despite first seeing the animal 2 years ago, trail cam footage clearly showed the tire wasn't affecting the animal's ability to eat or drink. Still, fearing the tire becoming entangled in branches, or worse, in the antlers of another elk during the rut, continuously drove Parks and Wildlife staff to try and remove it. Following a call from a resident who had seen the bull in their neighborhood, wildlife officers Dawson Swanson and Scott Murdoch, Dawson Swanson is a great name, responded to what would be the last of 4 attempts to help the animal. "I'm just grateful to be able to work in that community that values our state's wildlife resource," Swanson said. "I was able to quickly respond to a report from a local resident regarding a recent sighting of this bull elk in their neighborhood. I was able to locate the bull in question along with the herd of about 40 other elk." The saga of the bull elk with a tire around its neck is over. They had to get within... Let's see, do we... Okay, we don't. They had to get within close range to successfully find their mark with a tranquilizer. The 10-pointer, weighing over 600 pounds, that's a big elk, regretfully had to lose one of its magnificent antlers in order to slip the tire from around its neck, as the steel bead reinforcements were too much for their small electric saw. We would have preferred to cut the tire and leave the antlers for his running activity, but the situation was dynamic, and we had to just get the tire off in every way possible, said Officer Murdoch. Inside the tire, they found 10 pounds of debris, which had fallen into the air crevice. While causing minimal impediment to the animal's life, as observed from its size and health, the ring of the tire had begun to wear away on the animal's neck. The hair was rubbed off a little bit. There was one small open wound maybe the size of a nickel or a quarter, but other than that, it looked really good, Murdoch said of the bull's neck. I was actually quite shocked to see how good it looked. The bull elk has spent the past couple of years traveling back and forth between Park and Jefferson counties. He would disappear for long periods of time, particularly in the winter, and was acting as expected from a wild animal, not wanting to be around human presence. The saga of this bull elk highlights the need for residents to live responsibly with wildlife in mind. The department stated in a news release, "Wildlife officers have seen deer, elk, moose, bears, and other wildlife become entangled in a number of man-made obstacles that include swing sets, hammocks, clothing lines, decorative or holiday lights, furniture, tomato cages, chicken feeders, laundry baskets, soccer goals, or volleyball nets. And yes, tires." They got him out though, right? They got him out. I'd be pretty unhappy if someone took my antler off, but you know, if you gotta get rid of the tire, then you gotta get rid of it, no matter what. Whatever it takes. So here's our next one, and we're going to start our animal videos. So what videos would you guys like to see? I have a few that I could show you right now if you'd like. But if you have something in mind, I'm happy to hear it as well. What I'm going to do for our friend, they should have cut the tire, not the antler. Well, the idea is that they cut the tire with a hacksaw, or no, an electrical saw, but it wasn't as strong as it needed to be to cut through the metal beams, which support the sides of the tires, and so they had to cut the antler to get it fully off. If they had brought bolt cutters, that might have done the job, but the antlers of an elk grow back every year, so it'll be okay. Yeah, it'll be okay. It'll be okay. Antlers grow back within a year, exactly, so it'll be good. Still, I wouldn't be happy if I only had one antler. Okay, so I'm gonna, let's see. I'm gonna put something else in here. Let's do some cute elk. How about that? I don't think there's going to be very many cute elk, though. Seems like a dangerous thing for an elk to be next to anybody. So here is our first. So this video is titled, "Family Brings Baby Moose Twins into Their House." I feel very sketchy about allowing any moose babies near me because moose are extremely defensive. But if they need to be helped, they need to be helped. It's just I do not want a big moose coming to look for its baby mooses and then kicking my house down in the process, because they'll do what it takes. They're angry and mean, and they barely tolerate us when we get close to them. But hey, I mean, they seem nice. You know, they're babies. They don't know any better. They haven't learned to need to defend themselves quite yet. Aww. Yeah, I've never taken care of any animal bigger than, actually, you know, I've never taken care of really any animal at all, to be clear. Sad thing is, most wild animals, if you touch their babies, actually, I don't think that's true. Jerry, let me check that for you. Let me check this for you. Okay, so here's a good thing about this. No matter how flighty birds or other creatures may appear, they do not readily abandon their young, especially not in response to human touch, says Frank B. Gill, former president of the American Ornithologists Union. If a bird's nest is disturbed by a potential predator during the nesting or egg-laying stage, there's a possibility that it will desert and re-nest. However, once the young are hatched and feeding, their parents are, by and large, pretty tenacious. The myth derives from the belief that birds can detect human scent. Actually, birds have a relatively small and simple olfactory nerve which limit their sense of smell. There are very few birds with extraordinary olfaction, and these represent specialized adaptations. For example, turkey vultures are attracted to methylmercaptan, a gas produced by decaying organic matter, of course being carrions, and added to natural gas to make it smell bad, while starlings can detect insecticidal compounds in vegetation. Let's see. The fact is, birds don't abandon their young in response to touch, but they will abandon their offspring and their nest in response to disturbance. They are likely responding to disturbance in relation to risk of harm up to young. In other words, birds, like economists, make cost-benefit decisions. If a bird has invested a lot of time and energy in hatching and rearing its young, that bird is more likely to, if possible, relocate its offspring to a new nesting site, rather than abandon them altogether when a potential predator has discovered the babies. Birds that live longer, like hawks, are more averse to risk and more sensitive to the disturbance than short-lived birds like robins or songbirds. The former might abandon its young, while the latter is much less likely to do so. The same logic applies to most animals in general. One second. Wild animals bond with their young and do not quickly abandon them, explains Laura Simon, field director for the Urban Wildlife Program at the Humane Society of the United States. In fact, most creatures find extraordinary ways to ensure the survival of their young. Killdeer and ducks will feign a broken wing to lure a predator away from their babies, and raccoons and tree squirrels will speedily relocate their progeny to a more protected pasture when a potential threat is skulking about. Wild rabbits are the exception to this rule. These animals seem to be most sensitive to human and other smells. They are a flighty, high-stress species, Simon says. Wild rabbits will sometimes abandon their nest when it's been very disturbed, as when a lawnmower runs over it or a cat gets into it. Of course, wild animals should be left undisturbed as much as possible. The general rule for finding a baby bird or any animal infant on the ground is simply leave them alone. Most often the parents are watching from a distance, but if a baby bird is found on the ground without its fledgling feathers, and the nest is easily within reach, it can be returned without harm. The parents will welcome it back with open wings. Oh, it's cute. So it seems like we're both right about this. Sometimes they're just kind of like, oh, there's like humans around, I'm gonna leave. Yeah, sure. Sometimes animals are like, it's not worth it, I'm gonna go. And then sometimes, unless you're like a wild rabbit, they're like, hey, I put that thing out of my butt. If you're like a bird especially, they put that out of their butt. And they have to like try and make that work no matter what. But apparently rabbits are just not okay with it. They just don't like the smell of it. But like I said, it's the same with like a lot of different animals. Usually they can't exactly smell that. They kind of just roll with the punches for the most part. But you're very welcome, Cherry. I'm glad to offer a nice little science paper about it. Well, hey there, Rissy. I'm glad you could join us. I actually saw a bird on the ground once, and I didn't know how old it was, and my father said, don't touch it, the birds won't accept it back, and I believed him because I didn't know any better. What I should have done is grabbed it and like looked for the nest and tried to put it back in. Or at least put it on one of the branches of the tree, right? That's fair too. Even just taking them off the ground is probably a good idea. grew up with the same saying. Yeah, everyone says that, but I don't know where anyone ever got that from, besides just assuming it was true. I don't know where that came from, but it's mostly like, right, mostly that's not true, but you know, in some very rare cases, I guess it can be. Gosh, domesticated deer just showing up and looking for food. It's probably because they mix up disturbance of their home and the scent. Maybe. You know, if they can smell that well. Oh, look at that guy. Oh, look at that girl. I don't know which this is, but it's a cutie. It looks like a giraffe. Oh, those horns are coming in fast. It's gonna be bucking soon with those horns. Won't be able to stop them. Oh, the most handsome buck in the woods. It's lovely. Shed its velvet. It is a little strange, isn't it? It is a little strange. I've never actually watched a moose do that, but they seem to just do it, right? It just happens to them. But you know, it does look for it's very strange to me to imagine just like, you know, the skin peeling off of the horn like that. But and it even sounds creepy saying that, but they just do it. It just looks gross. It just looks gross. It's true. Nothing actually bad happens. It just looks very strange. So here's a good one. Immunotherapy drugs so effective that tumors disappear in weeks for head and neck cancer patients in landmark trial. From positive trends in survival to completely eradicated, the results from a phase 3 cancer trial has oncologists and patients in the UK excited. An innovative combination of 2 immunotherapy drugs were shown to extend the life of patients with metastatic or relapsed head and neck cancer without forcing them to endure extreme chemotherapy. Let's find out one of these good old videos. I don't think we've seen this one. Whoops. A deer brings her babies to meet her dog best friend every spring. Aww. I like that. Around 12,000 people in the UK are diagnosed with head and neck cancer per year, often at the late stage. In the US in 2018, it was 46,000 and climbing. While not barring statistically significant findings, the trial, funded by pharma firm Bristol Myers Squibb and conducted at the Royal Marsden NHS Foundation, led to at least one miraculous recovery. After 77-year-old Barry Ambrose, oh, look at those tiny little guys. They're like shaking because they're so tiny. You know what I mean? They're so tiny they can like barely keep themselves up. He was told by a local hospital that palliative care was his only option. After hearing about the trial, he took part, and after 8 months, his cancer completely disappeared. When the research nurses called to tell me that, after 2 months, the tumor in my throat had completely disappeared. It was an amazing moment, Barry recounts in a statement. While there was still disease in my lungs at that point, the effect was staggering. In fact, I was doing so well on the trial, I was allowed to pause it in November 2018 to go on a Caribbean cruise with my wife. The drugs nivolumab and ipilimumab, those names don't sound real to me, didn't always lead to cures like in Ambrose, but conferred upon late-stage head and neck cancer patients an average of 3 more months of side effect-free survival. When compared to traditional chemotherapy, a result that, while not statistically significant, is clinically relevant by all measures. The average survival time was 17 months, the longest ever achieved in late-stage head and neck cancer patients. Our trials show that immunotherapy combination achieved the longest median overall survival ever seen in patients with relapsed or metastatic head and neck cancer, said Professor Kevin Harrington, a consultant clinical oncologist at Royal Marsden who helped organize the trial. These are promising results and demonstrate how we can better select the patients who are most likely to benefit from immunotherapy treatment. When I was told about the trial by Professor Harrington, I didn't hesitate to join. What did I have to lose? It turned out to be a lifeline, said Ambrose. Although I had to make bi-weekly trips from Suffolk to the hospital for the treatment, I had virtually no side effects and was able to carry on as normal, doing things I love, sailing, cycling, and spending time with my family. Oh, great. Here's another good one. Spray-on treatment could lengthen life of roads while making cities cooler. A spray-on treatment for asphalt roads aims to curb both their contribution to the urban island heat effect and stop them from breaking so easily. Based on titanium dioxide, it not only reflects and scatters away sunlight and ultraviolet light, keeping the surface of sidewalks and roads cooler, but it also creates a chemical reaction when exposed to sunlight that clears away airborne pollutants. That sounds a little dangerous, actually, just hearing that out loud. Sounds a little dangerous. The happiest, cuddliest duck ever is obsessed with a giant dog. Okay, we're watching that one. We're watching that one. Even considering these two qualities, the product itself, while still in development, is being marketed as a road rejuvenator and is meant to help asphalt retain its flexibility and prevent it from cracking over its lifespan. Pavement Technology has been trialing their titanium dioxide spray alongside Texas A&M University, to whom they're sending samples of air quality taken alongside road core samples from asphalt treated with their spray. Early results are promising, and the company claims a 1-mile stretch of road treated with their road rejuvenator reduced levels of nitrogen oxide by 30% to 40% in the surrounding air, or the equivalent of a 20-acre park. Titanium dioxide is commonly found in sunscreens, as it's effective at reflecting sunlight. Black tarmac and concrete buildings, all packed closer together, creates the now infamous urban island heat effect, where the sun heats these surfaces up during the day, and then they in turn radiate that heat outwards towards everyone and everything, and prevent cities from cooling down in the evening. Depending on the size, density, and climate in the city, this can raise average daily temperatures by anywhere from 4 degrees in a city like Adelaide to 14 degrees in a city like Singapore. That's Fahrenheit, by the way. As a complement to green spaces and green rooftops, which effectively disperse heat, the two could be used in tandem to largely cancel out the urban island heat effect. Beyond that, the spray replaces maltines in the road, compounds found in the black oily bitumen component of asphalt, which keeps the roads working for longer. This not only reduces the emissions needed for road repairs and the heavy machinery they rely on, but also the emissions from traffic slowdowns related to road work, a boon which commuters into any metropolitan area can celebrate. Oh, I always feel like ducks on a pond when it's raining. It looks so graceful, you know what I mean? They're just kind of like accepting how it is. They don't seem to mind anything. They're just really into it. So we've got a couple more. They're feathered fish. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's not quite clear whether or not ducks are fish, but they're close to one of them at least. Let's see. Have we got any more that I like? Giant dog is obsessed with his tiny human sister. That's a good one. Oh, look at him. He's like, there's a baby in there. He knows. He knows. That face. Oh, that face was so good. I know, Pupper Love. He looks so unabashedly happy to be right there with the baby. He doesn't even know what it is. Yep, it's his baby. Aww. They're protecting the baby. Imagine that, being raised up with two big old dogs like that. What a thing. Oh, they look so lazy. So such a big, thick dog. Oh. Oh, they're such big boys. I guess I do have a thing for big dogs. Ever since Gidget, I've been more into big dogs than normal. Aww. Look, she's like trying to play with his little foot, his paw. I like how at this point like, it's kind of comparable how smart the dogs are compared to how smart the baby is. You know, they're kind of like in the same place a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, the dog's just bigger and has had more years of being big, but like, it's not that. Dogs aren't that much smarter than babies, really, if you think about it. So they're kind of like, do you know what I mean? They're kind of on the same footing. Aw. That was adorable. That baby was what's this one? Family tries to convince their giant Alaskan mamalute to get in the bath. Aww. I adore when that happens. Not all dogs are totally submissive to little ones. Yeah, it's true. Oh, he doesn't want to go in the bath. He doesn't want to go in the bath. Oh, I do like mamalutes though. Aww. Peanut butter. Would you get in the bath for some peanut butter? He's like, you can see he's looking at his chops. He's thinking about it. He's like, but I won't do it. There you go. There you go. Tastes good, doesn't it? He's like licking the wall. Oh my gosh. Slathering some peanut butter on the inside of that tub. You know he'll want to come after it. Look at that. There's peanut butter in there. See, there's no water. There's no water. It's just a towel. You're fine. It's like trick him to go inside. Oh, he doesn't want to do it. He really doesn't want to do it. I've got this bacon strip for you. You want to go in the tub for a bacon strip? And meanwhile, that cat's just kind of watching from a distance, trying to, just analyzing. Oh, the dog just won't go in. He's just too chonky. You can't make him do it. Oh, he doesn't want to get in there. And the cat's like, just like, yeah. The cat's just like completely fine walking around there. Look at that bacon strip. You want to get that strip? He was really what? Hey, get the bacon. Get the bacon. There you go. There you go. There you go. Oh, tasty peanut butter on the wall. All that bacon on the wall. Oh, 3 in. Oh, there you go. All 4 in. This is how it is trying to put my boys in the tub. Aw, you end up more wet than them. So when I was watching Jane in the oh no, there it starts. Aw, and then the cat in the little sink. It's perfect. I would like wash her off, and she would like start doing the whipping, and then I would like, oh, look at how cute he looks. I would like cover myself up, and I'd be like, go ahead, whip as much as you need to. And I would try not to like get her so wet that she would whip, but just wet enough that I could clean her. Oh my gosh, I love that. I want to see that again. I want to see that again, actually. The cat comes in. Is rain punch. Oh, yeah. I like how the cat comes in to steal the treat. It's like, I'm gonna eat this now. You snooze, you lose, doggo. Oh my gosh. Oh, he's escaping. He's escaping. There you go. Gotta get them all brushed out. Oh, that was lovely. Gosh. Okay, so here's some more good news. Always good to get some nice doggo videos in here. On their 77th anniversary, Idaho couple finally gets to take their wedding photos. Look at them. 77 years together. Bigger the dog, less easier to handle. I don't know, I mean, I've seen some Chihuahuas that were pretty difficult to handle. To be honest, there's this pug in my neighborhood who's only like, he's not even like a foot tall. Less than a foot tall. Maybe something like that. And he's intolerable. You can't get him to do anything. You can't get him to get on the street. You can't get him to go home. You can barely get him to stop following you. He's hard to handle. I mean, I'm glad I'm not his owner. The bride is 97. The groom is 98. My gosh. Though to be fair, if Gidget tried to jump on me, I mean, there's no way I could stop him. He's just coming after me, right? So I guess you're right there. The couple has been married for 77 years, and thanks to some very special folks who helped them celebrate their recent anniversary, they were finally treated to some very special wedding memories they missed out on all those years ago. Gosh, 77 years married is crazy. That's a long time. The Kings have become like family to the staff of the St. Croix Hospice, who serve as caretakers for the elderly pair in their Old Luane, Idaho home. These are the kind of people we need to ask their secrets to keep a happy relationship. Yeah, I agree. They probably have some wisdom, only in like a few words, right? So it won't really be the secret you want, but it's still good. With a big anniversary coming up, their caregivers wanted to do something special to commemorate their occasion. And knowing something of the couple's history, they came up with the perfect plan. When Frankie and Royce King took their vows on September 16th, 1944, my gosh, the world was a very different place. Royce was in the U.S. Air Force awaiting final orders to ship out, but before he was deployed overseas, he and his high school sweetheart Frankie were determined to take their vows. The simple church ceremony was small and no frills. Rather than a lace gown, Frankie wore a suit. There was no photographer on hand to record the vows. 2 days later, Royce was on his way to take up duties as a carrier pilot with a regular flight path that took him over the Himalayas. With Frankie and Royce's wedding lacked in splendor, their life together has more than made up for. 2 kids, 4 grandkids, and several great-grandkids later, the King's marriage is still going strong, almost 80 years. The love they share with each other is something that's only rivaled by the kindness they've spent a lifetime spreading throughout their community. Look at these 2 cuties. Look at him. He's a strapping young man, and she's a delectable, demure young lady. I like his pose there, though. He's very powerful looking in his suit. He's like business winning. I love that. For the anniversary festivities, the St. Croix crew pulled out all the stops as one staff member played big band era tunes on his sax and another snapped photo upon photo. Frankie, garbed in a lovely 1940s era wedding gown and a brand new do, was led through a flower-covered archway to where Royce, in full Air Force uniform, awaited her. By the time the 3-tiered wedding cake was served, there wasn't a dry eye in the house. Aw. Absolutely no shame in the fact that I had a hard time keeping it together behind the lens. Photographer Hillary Michelson posted to Facebook, "I work for St. Croix Hospice full-time while doing photography on the side. I am passionate about both of my jobs, and it made my heart so incredibly full to see them intertwined last week." Look at them. Gosh. The King's daughter, Sue Bilodeau, who was on hand to help her parents celebrate, is now putting together a photo album of cherished memories for them. "It was definitely one of the most special things ever," she told the Washington Post. When Mom mentioned she didn't have time to plan a big wedding and didn't have a photographer, the St. Croix staff members worked together to make sure they could get their special day. For anyone who doesn't believe true love can last a lifetime, Bilodeau says that you only have to look at the examples set by parents to be proved wrong. My thing just flashed, actually. Sorry about that. Together they demonstrate that a great love takes kindness and perseverance. And if that story doesn't convince them, the pictures are worth 1,000 words, and then some. True there. True there. When did it start raining in your room? Do you mean it's actually raining in there? Or do you mean that there's a drip coming from your ceiling? I hope it's the first one. Because luckily there's some ASMR in the background that could explain that. Or it might be an actual problem, which I hope it isn't. So here's one. Watch adorable moment. A loving son sees entire London train sing happy birthday to his mom. A loving son surprised his mom on her 64th birthday by getting the entire carriage on the London Underground to join him in singing happy birthday. Oh, okay. Oh, I see what you mean. That's cute. Rob Burke and his girlfriend, Kat, were traveling with his mother, Jackie, on the Bakerloo line as they headed out to celebrate her birthday. he decided to give his mother a sweet yet slightly embarrassing surprise by announcing to the carriage it was her big day and asking the passengers to sing to her. The other passengers were more than happy to oblige and erupted the song. Rob said, I wanted to embarrass my mom and catch it on camera. My girlfriend, Kat, suggested it when we were walking onto the train carriage. It was just an impromptu singing. You can tell by her face she wasn't too keen on me announcing her age to everyone, but she really loved it. There have been loads of really kind comments on TikTok saying how good she looks for 64, so that helped me get out of the doghouse. She does look pretty good for 64, doesn't she? She does look pretty good for 64. I'm gonna put the music on for this one.
Everyone, sorry, can I have your attention just for 1 second? It's my mum's birthday today. She's 64.
Oh, shut up! Let's tell the bleak world why, don't you?
So I'd like to
Cheeky
sing,
little sod.
happy birthday to my mum, if that's okay.
Yes!
Jackie, it's
Jackie!
her birthday today, so
Happy birthday to you.
Oh my gosh.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Jackie. Happy birthday to you.
Oh my gosh. That was adorable. You know that she was like worried about that for a second though. She was like, no, what are you doing? Don't tell them my age, please. Oh, that's lovely. Okay, so we've got a few more. New hydrogel tablet that can purify a liter of river water in an hour. Let's look at how long this one is. Oh, this is very short. As much as a third of the world's population does not have access to clean drinking water. According to some estimates, a half of the population could live in a water-stressed area by 2025. Finding a solution to this problem could save and improve lives for millions of people, and it is a high priority among scientists and engineers around the globe. Scientists and engineers at the University of Texas at Austin have created a hydrogel tablet that can rapidly purify contaminated water. One tablet can disinfect a liter of river water and make it suitable for drinking in an hour or less. Our multifunctional hydrogel can make a big difference in mitigating global water scarcity because it's easy to use, highly efficient, and potentially scalable up to mass production, said Guha Yu, an associate professor at the Cockrell School of Engineering's Walker Department of Mechanical Engineering and Texas Materials Institute. My gosh, that was a long one. Today, the primary way to purify water is to boil or pasteurize it. But that takes energy, plus a lot of time and work that isn't practical for some people in parts of the world without the resources for these processes. The special hydrogels generate hydrogen peroxide to neutralize bacteria at an efficiency rate of more than 99.999%. That's pretty darn good. The hydrogen peroxide works with activated carbon particles to attack essential cell components of bacteria and disrupt their metabolism. The process requires zero energy input and doesn't create any harmful byproducts. The hydrogels can easily be removed, and they don't leave any residue. In addition to purifying wastewater on their own, the hydrogels could also improve a process that has been around for thousands of years: solar distillation, the use of sunlight to separate water from harmful contaminants via vaporization. Solar distillation systems often run into issues of biofouling, the accumulation of microorganisms on equipment that causes it to malfunction. Bacteria-killing hydrogels can prevent this from happening. A highly vigilant graduate student, Johan Guo, discovered these hydrogels unexpectedly while doing something else. That is, purification of water with sunlight, said Keith Johnston, a professor in the Makeda Department of Chemical Engineering, who co-led the project. The team, whose work was published in the journal Advanced Materials, is working to improve the hydrogels by increasing the different types of pathogens and viruses in water that they can neutralize. And the team is also in the process of commercializing several prototypes. Scaling up the hydrogels would be straightforward, the researchers say. Materials for them are inexpensive, and the synthesis processes are simple and remain that way at a large scale. They can easily control the shape and size of the hydrogels, making them flexible for different types of uses. Oh darn. It's pretty good. It makes me feel a little less scared about something Neil deGrasse Tyson once said. Tigers, oil canvases. These are actually pretty good. I'm gonna look at this one. So teen started painting in lockdown and is now so good. She's exhibiting in galleries and getting $10,000 for one canvas. A 14-year-old in Wales took a painting during lockdown and is now selling her canvases for thousands of dollars. Mackenzie Beard from the city of Swansea has garnered international attention for her portraits of human faces cloaked in jubilant, smiling visages after her first piece went viral on social media, a portrait of John Tucker, the farmer next door. That's like the perfect farmer next door is John Tucker, you know what I mean? I had some free time on my hands, and my mom used to love to paint, so we had paints and canvases and brushes. I thought, why not give it a try? And it escalated from there, she told the BBC. For Tucker, it was simply the case that a local lass asked one day to take a photograph of him while he was bringing hay nets down from his truck. Now he says that all his family thinks it looks exactly like him. Beard entered the portrait into a competition, and it won a place at the Young Artist Summer Show in the Royal Academy of Arts. Lovely. Fast forward to October, when Blackwater Gallery in Cardiff exhibited some of her other works and reported they had sold to several international buyers from the US, UK, and Middle East, one of whom offered her €10,000. Mackenzie's most recent portrait is of her grandfather, Bernard Davies, and is one of the 6 currently hanging in Blackwater. It's not for sale, however, as Beard plans to keep it for sentimental reasons. It's hard not to see why. Mr. Davies is depicted with the most heartwarming and grandfatherly smile one could ever imagine. Gosh. Oh, what a cutie. Look at her, like she's really enjoying herself. She's really proud. Her collection can be seen on Instagram. Consists of workmen and children, mostly the old and the young, and expressions of joy or indifference. They are interspersed with pictures of her other great love, field hockey for Wales. Playing the sport demands most of her time, but she wants to keep painting. I don't think I want to be an artist as a job, but I want to have this on the side as a hobby, she told the BBC. That's how you should do it, then. If this is the quality of results from a hobby as a teenager, we can't wait to see what she does with her life in her 20s and 30s. Oh, lovely. We've got just a few more left. Oh, this is a long one, though. Oh, it's a long one. I want to do another long one. Well, this will be our last one, then. Study reports incredible new numbers for critically endangered growers gorilla species. A new study estimated the global population of growers gorillas, the world's largest gorilla subspecies, and it reported good news for rangers, nonprofits, and caretakers who have been saving this critically endangered animal. From a previous global estimate of 3,800 individuals, the number has almost doubled to 6,800 individuals. This revised estimate comes from a recent field survey conducted in one of this animal's largest remaining strongholds an area that was previously inaccessible for surveys in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. Led by Wildlife Conservation Society, results were published in the American Journal of Primatology. A previous peer-reviewed paper led by WCS in 2016 showed a decline of almost 80% in the population of these gorillas since the last range-wide survey carried out in the mid-1990s. However, due to insecurity in the region, the 2016 estimate did not include data from all areas of the Grauer's gorilla range. The population estimate of 2021 includes new field surveys in the Oku forests and suggests declines were not as great as previously feared. The findings also provide hope for the conservation of Grauer's gorilla, as populations in the highland sectors of the Kahuzi-Biga National Park have also remained relatively stable over the past 20 years. It is a tribute to the courage and dedication of the Congolese biologists who took part, said the study's lead author, Dr. Andrew Plumtree. Key Biodiversity Area Secretariat, hosted by BirdLife International, who conducted the research with WCS. Additionally, there is good news for chimpanzee populations, which have also held steady over the past 20 years. We show that gorillas and chimpanzees are avoiding areas where people are extracting minerals, an occupation that contributes to the insecurity in the region, says Plumtree. Grauer's gorillas, Gorilla beardingay graueri, are a subspecies of eastern gorilla found only in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo and can weigh over 450 pounds. The authors say that the result of the study underscore the importance of good forest protection in the region. In 2018, 3 local community forest concessions comprising a total area of 1,465 square kilometers were created and attributed to community management in Oku. Additionally, WCS is working with these communities, the government's Nature Conservation Agency, ICCN, and the local NGO reserve Des Gorillas de Punya to create an additional wildlife reserve in the Oku forests to secure up to 3,000 square kilometers of forest for gorillas and other flora and fauna in this area. More than 80% of the world's supply of coltan, used in many electronic devices, is found in the DRC, including much of Grauer's gorilla's prior habitat. The focus on conservation efforts must now be on supporting local community management of the Oku forests to protect gorillas and their habitats. And that's all the good news for today. So let's look at a couple of more videos before we close out. Maybe just one more. Let's find another one about big animals. The special friendship between a neighbor and Brody, the Saint Bernard. So this has been a lovely episode for me. I really enjoyed this. Shout out to Jerry and Anna, and thank you, Playful, for, as always, being our lovely moderator. I'm grateful that you always stick around and hang out. Glad to have you. And shout out to Chia and Rissy, and shout out to the other people here who I don't feel like naming, even though they're just lurking. The lurkers who I can see right now. Oh, I'm glad to always be here, and thanks for having me. Of course, glad to have you guys. I'm gonna have to buy a sub for you at some point, Playful. Just to get you the sub badge. You'd be a sub and a moderator. Alright, folks. So, this has been an episode of Cast Talks. This has been episode 52. And, I'm glad you could join me for a little while. You've made it fun. I know. And you guys are the best. You're the bee's knees. You're the top dogs. And you're the St. Bernards to my old lady. So I hope that you have enjoyed yourself. I hope that you have a lovely evening. And to those of you who are currently homesick, that you, thank you, Chia, who are currently homesick, you're able to feel better soon. And I wish a lovely evening, morning, or afternoon to all of you out there in the future. So, once again, thanks for stopping by, and as always, stay safe, have a great, wonderful night, and take care. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.